EdTech Mondays Africa is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning and is part of the MasterCard Foundation Young Africa Works programming.
Social media has become an integral part of young people's lives in learning institutions, of the learning institutions, in this case, online and offline, and in other spheres of their lives. They are connecting in different communities using social media tools. But what are some of the benefits of social media? What kind of impact is social media having on education and learning? Welcome to this edition of EdTech Mondays Africa, where we're coming to you from the United States International University of Africa, or USIU Africa as it's commonly known, and we're here to find answers to some of these questions. Do the benefits of social media outweigh the negatives? And what are some of those regulations we need to have in place? What about the policies? And joining us for this conversation, we have Dr. Collins Odwor, Assistant Professor, Information Systems, School of Science and Technology here at USIU Africa. And we also have Karine Ishimwe, who is an undergraduate student pursuing Information Systems and Technology, majoring in cybersecurity and forensics. She's a Rwandan citizen here at USIU Africa. We also have Martin Chiremateng, who is also an undergraduate student, data science and analytics, USIU Africa, and a Ghanaian citizen. We also have in our audience a number of students who are here to take part in the conversation. But let me start with the big question to all of us. Social media is here, it's not going anywhere. It's probably getting more distractive for all of us. But I want to know, how are you using social media as learners, as undergrads, and soon to be young people absorbed in the work environment? Let me start with you, Martin.
I kind of use these social media platforms very much. I could say in a day, I spend almost 8 hours on WhatsApp, on maybe IG, or let's say LinkedIn, because I like, building my portfolio. And I think it's the best thing that has ever happened to the world of technology, because when I was in high school, it was only WhatsApp for sharing, other stuff. But then now, as I speak, I've been able to leverage on LinkedIn. A lot of connections have come as a result of my presence on LinkedIn. So I feel like social media is just tremendously influencing the space of learning.
How is social media being utilized for you as a learner within the campus?
I get prompts in order to complete some assignments, and then I get to meet people who are advanced in my career, like data science and analytics. You see, it's a new field that is really evolving, and for me to really advance myself in that career, I need some connections. So basically what I said about LinkedIn, I have met so many people who are also mentoring me in the field of, data science. When it comes to WhatsApp, I would say sometimes I kind of forget about assignments. You'll be there and your friend will call you, "Hey, Martin, are you done with question 2? I want you to help me in that." Before I really, recall that, hey, we have an assignment to, submit. So it's kind of a reminder. People used to, call me for me to do my assignments and also submit some stuff on time. And I also utilize, because here in USIU, I have to be frank, in every course that you do, you would have a WhatsApp group. So I have done 20 courses and I have 20 WhatsApp groups. We share ideas, we work in groups, teamwork and collaboration. And I think this is what is preparing us for the world of industry.
20 WhatsApp groups. Karine, how many WhatsApp groups are you in? And how are you utilizing social media on your end?
I am in more than 50 WhatsApp groups.
50?
50. I think
50?
More than 50, yeah.
Wow.
So the way we use this social media, I can say about WhatsApp. That's where we connect with my colleagues. So my colleagues, they can help me just to learn. They can share with me the videos that they have seen on YouTube. And also, when you go to the LinkedIn, you can be able to connect with these experts. I can say like social media has really changed my life. Everything that I have right now, it was because of social media. To get the scholarship links, I get it to my WhatsApp from one of my friends. And to get other social venture links, I get it through Instagram. So I was just like, it connects me to other people that I can't meet them physically.
50 WhatsApp groups. How are you able to coordinate all this stuff? What's going on in those WhatsApp groups? And on average, how many hours do you spend in a day on social media?
I spend more than 10 hours on social media. So it's just like shifting from what I'm doing. Let me say I'm working on assignment, and then I saw a pop-up message. So I go on WhatsApp, I go on YouTube. Think how I manage these WhatsApp groups. Of course, they are all related with what I like. Yeah, because I can join with the thing that I'm not associated with. Some of them are related to what I'm studying, so related to school. Others related to what I enjoy, like entertainments.
Dr. Collins Odor, thank you for making time to join this conversation. From a lecturer's perspective, let's talk about some of the benefits of social media, because I believe that they're quite immense. And outside of the average time that they've admitted to using social media for, what are some of the benefits from a lecturer to student side?
As a lecturer, as a faculty member, we are one of the biggest beneficiaries of social media in education, and especially higher education. As the students have actually confirmed to you, communication has now become very easy. Now we are able to communicate with them, form them in a group in every class, and be able to communicate or pass information to them. As also amongst us as colleagues, we are also able to peer communicate with each other in the department, in the school, and even the university-wide. So like personally, we have, I'm in the school WhatsApp group, I'm in the university-wide WhatsApp group, and of course for the other students. So my work has become very easy in terms of reaching out to the student directly, because social media gets us close with each other in terms of breaking the barriers.
Do you feel that maybe the level of distraction could be a little bit higher on the students' end? And how are you managing that? Do you start your lectures by giving them pep talks, or how does it usually go?
There's a curriculum that has been shared. There's a syllabus that we followed. So now we have to use our different pedagogies to teach, so that the students' attention is actually rested in class without getting distracted. But in terms of either giving them group discussions, teaching the actual teaching process, so that way they don't get distracted. But the technology, I know that's one of the disadvantages of social media, is distraction and maybe spending a lot of time. And those who are not very careful, they can actually waste a lot of time using the technology.
You've talked about some of the benefits of social media from a lecturer's perspective, and then also lecturer to student perspective. Are there any dangers that you envision? What do you think could be the most harmful areas where social media is concerned?
As much as technology is good, you have to also be aware of some of the challenges that it brings, maybe distraction, so a matter of time wasting. So those students who are not very keen, they will spend their time on things which are not educational, because social media has brought everything on the world together. So there's that time wastage for the students who may not be very keen. Maybe another, it's also cyberbullying is now emerging now. Cyberbullying and online crime is really emerging, and I can see most cases now being reported about safety, online safety. So that could be another big challenge.
You interact with these many different communities that you're in, and sometimes you probably study via Zoom or even the other platforms like Teams. How does that work for you? Do you feel like you're able to achieve the same experience as when you're interacting with your peers in a lecture room?
The problem comes when you find out that the lecturer there is a digital gap. So you are not able to start on time and finish on time. And there are instances where, Zoom allows for only 40 minutes straight work. Then you go back and join in. People tend not to even join. Others also, because of social media, when even we are in class, people don't tend to, focus. What of being in your own, environment, your room, where you're on your bed, the lecturer is behind you in the virtual environment, and now he's speaking. And it's not like you are all maybe on video. It could be like we have switched off our videos and we are even enjoying our cool music. Your mic is muted, unless maybe the lecturer says, hey, you answer this question before maybe you come in. So the experience is quite different, and it's not really positive for me to say, because me, for instance, there are 2 instances I felt like the lecturer's handwriting wasn't good, even in class. So using the virtual environment, it was so poor, I couldn't even concentrate. So I have to just sit back and give myself a date to revise what he taught in class. So it's good because it serves as an alternative when there is emergency, but then it can't be compared to the benefits we get in class, because in class, you feel like your whole thing is really in the mood to study, and you're able to physically ask questions in and out. But on Zoom, you could possibly ask questions, but your microphone will just go off. That is a technical issue, and communication becomes very difficult to do. So I think, the physical class is having so many positivities as compared to the virtual environment.
Dr. Odor, do you think the benefits outweigh the dangers that you've talked about?
I really appreciate the benefits of social media. As a faculty member, it has really helped me do my work easily. I'll be able to communicate with my students. I'll be able to collaborate with them. And I feel I'm able to reach them at any time, apart from even the official hours that they could reach out to me at any given time. So the benefits of social media are overwhelming the disadvantages.
Usually, what are your biggest concerns when it comes to, say, your finalist students, some of those in their 4th year? What are your biggest concerns when it comes to their usage of social media?
Today's learning is about is student-centered learning. It is not like long time when I was learning, when it was the lecturer side. So this time it is two-way. We learn from each other. And now social media has now opened up the education sphere. So students are able to get more information, they're able to dig in, determine a lot of information. So it's not a matter of being worried as a lecturer, but just giving the student the space. And actually, today's learning is more of research-based. So inquiry-based learning. So we need to empower the students to inquire more, to know more information, so that when they come to class, we share, discuss, we look at how that knowledge can be much applied to them.
Are there challenges you experience as a student when it comes to social media?
To reduce the focus when you are studying, when you are focusing on your work. So I said I spent more than 10 hours, but those pop-up message hit. But also there is other tools which I have seen, which helps you to make off those notifications. So that's the one that I have tried to apply. I'm no longer losing my focus.
You're no longer losing your focus. All right. I want to bring the conversation to us as students. And I can see Jennifer is already nodding here. Probably we can pass her the microphone.
So my name is Jennifer Bessie, and I'm a bit different from the field in which they are. Yes. So my major is psychology. And tech has really helped even the psychology field, because now in our classes that we are being taught about technology, we found out about the cyberbullying, and we found out about a lot of mental health issues. So we found out that even on social media, especially for teenagers and learners, they now start to compare themselves with what they see on social media. And that has been a very worrisome thing. And we found out that there's a lot of disadvantages that affects the development of children because of screen time. So now even psychologists are looking into the number of hours, like they're saying, like Martin is saying 8 hours, and then we have Karen saying 10 hours plus. So look at this, if a child is going through that, how many hours of the day they're using on screens for their eyes, for their development. But one of the advantages we found also, most of the advantages we found about social media is now that we have online counseling, because with the limited number of psychologists that we have in the world around and the rising mental health issues, we found out that having this online, USIU Africa is so good at that because of the counseling center. I was trained to be a peer counselor, and now we are able to have online counseling session with people that are way away from us, that we can have physical contact with them, but you can still be in touch with these people to help them manage certain mental health issues. So even though it has distractions, it has a lot of mental health advantages that it gives to those of us who are in the psychology field.
Interesting. Anyone else? Yeah, I'm seeing you.
My name is Grace Magwaza. I am majoring in international relations with a minor in criminal justice. So my contribution is very much similar to what she said, although I will be arguing from an international relations perspective, in that there's a duality that we seem to overlook when it comes to the use of social media. And this is that the challenges that we're talking about, they exist to actually challenge our intrinsic values as human beings. When they were speaking about their use of time on social media, that to me as a student, it sends an alarm in my mind that how strong are my values? The moment that I see myself spending more than 12 hours, unfortunately, on social media, my question to myself is not that social media is bad, it's that my capacity to hold on to my value of discipline is not as strong as I think it's supposed to be. And then on the other aspect is that there's something about realizing that there's a bigger picture. In international relations, we say that the world is bigger than you, and if you want to win in the world, you have to understand the world. So social media, more than anything, it has given us a greater way of understanding the world in a way that our forefathers did not understand it in the first place, which is why it is such an incredible tool, even now in international relations, for things such as public diplomacy. We draw cultural practices of different countries just by being in the comfort of our homes. And more than anything, during COVID, social media transformed our capacity to work as human beings. And if we look at social media as something that is either good or bad, I'm afraid that from a policy perspective, we're going to be polarizing it. And social media is a non-living thing. And if we polarize it, we're going to have to choose it's either right or it's wrong. But at the end of the day, at the center of all of this, Plato says that at the center of all human decisions is a human being. So more than anything, I think that we need to evaluate our use and gauge how strong our intrinsic values are, instead of polarizing social media as either a good or a bad tool. Because if we do that, at the end of the day, we're not going to drive cars, we're not going to fly to different countries, we're not going to try the incredible food around the world. So my contribution in a nutshell is that there's nothing bad or good about social media. Social media is a tool.
How are you utilizing social media platforms for your or to your benefit?
Selling yourself as a brand. What I've tried to do is I take videos of myself daily, trying to share what I do as a person, so that it makes it easier. If I share my CV with you, you can get to go and say like, okay, let me do a bit research on this person. If you end up on my account, you'll find out this is what he does in a day. Like, I will even put this on a day, you see. So someone gets to know, okay, this is how you spend your day. You wake up, you do this, you do this, you do this. So it helps learners, I think, share a bit of yourself to the work environment, and it shows other people what you're practicing and what you're learning, because at the end of the day, you have this opportunity of sharing, this is what I learned today, and this is Monday. This is what I learned today, and this is Tuesday.
In your communities, do you feel like you are learning something additional that is related to your course?
The advantages and disadvantages of social media is still at 50-50. It depends on how personal I take it. On that, when I was in my first semester, I was trying to understand what happens if I take a lot of time on this social media, learning, just understanding my course specifically. And that one drew my interest, and I decided to go further and find a way how I apply it. I actually did my first project, and I just want to share something on that. And my project was to understand what is the effect of different parameters on the performance of a student who attends classes. And amongst the parameters that I had two specific parameters. One was about the number of hours you spend on social media, learning, trying to go through the academic-related context, and the amount of time you spend on social media just doing other things. On the adjustment, you come to realize that someone who takes more time on the non-academic-related performance, it's likely to have an effect on your performance, because you come to realize that your focus goes down, and your level of attention in class it's likely disturbed, and you don't have enough time to work on your project. So I will say that it depends on a personal responsibility, how you view it, how you use it, and how you take it. Because it can be really, really good for you and uplift your academic performance, because I personally take it as my second lecturer in all my courses.
Dr. Collins Odor, your students are talking about making money, and they're also talking about the distraction. How are you as a university regulating? Do you have like downtime during examination period? Or how are you able to regulate the learners in this case, knowing that they have data bundles that they can buy on their own?
For the course I'm teaching is application of social media and business in our School of Science. So one of the activities I'm giving them to do is to look for organizations that are completely not utilizing social media, and they make sure that they give them around 5 channels and train them, whatever they're learning in class, to impact. It's called transformative learning. We try to do that in USIU. So back to your question, of course, this is a free society. We are very liberal, and of course, you cannot block them from the rest of the world. We are not going to do a disservice to them. So maybe in the exam, the university rules are there for the examination. Then they're not supposed to use their phones and other technologies, unless the exam is open book. But we rarely give open book. We give questions that they're able to think through and apply, and to give the answer on the respondent's browser or on the answer booklet. Yes, so maybe during the class time, they also know there are also class rules. Yeah, they are supposed to maybe put their phones in silent and maybe put them away. They're supposed to be active. So also during class time, we try to engage them with the group discussion, with content discussion, so that they're not taken away. They're not using that time for class to do other social media surfing, like for entertainment.
And based on what you've just said, there's the attention span. I'm sure if we had this conversation for 2 hours, after 1 hour, some of them will walk out of the conversation. Is the same happening in the lecture room? And how are you navigating that part? Because they know they can go onto a social media tool with additional content and be able to access the same thing you're teaching. So how are you navigating the reduced attention span and still be able to achieve the same as a lecturer, say, in terms of the learning outcomes?
The Mastercard Foundation, with the partnership with USIU, has really taken us as faculty through a number of this training on how to handle these students. Some of them are Gen Zs and some are millennials. Yeah, so we've actually been trained on how to handle them, especially on pedagogical skills. So one of the things personally I use a lot is I go through the content, the syllabus that's provided by the university. There's the course text, it has activities. So I know there's that time, I have to plan very well within that lesson time. Our classes here are running, we have two classes. There's those that go 3 hours and those that goes 1.5 hours. So with good planning, I always find a way of arresting the attention, the discussion, the application, so they have no time to surf.
Good planning. To the two of you over here, do you plan and say during the lectures, I'm not going to access my phone, I'm not going to check, no pop-ups are going to come in the way of of my learning today. Karen, does that happen to you as well? Do you have to be intentional, be disciplined about how much time you're dedicating? And even when you're accessing additional content about cybersecurity and forensics, when the pop-up shows up on your device, do you immediately get distracted and switch into something else, forget about what you were, reading about before? How does it usually go, and how are you able to remain disciplined?
I like USAU Africa because it gives you the opportunity to choose the class time. So for me, I prefer choosing 1 hour and 30 minutes that class session. So within that time, I know myself. I can be able to discipline myself and be attentive in the class. And also, I try to block those notifications so that it can't distract me. And that's what I do.
For me, I feel like in every class, I have this attitude for any class I go. So if I feel like the lecturer is someone who likes talking, like content-based lecturers who just pour the content on you like that, then it leaves me with no option than to only switch off the notifications. Because for me, how I program myself is that no matter how I'm taught in the class, what I will get is what I will get. Not in performance. Yeah, I know myself and I know my capacity, my attention span. Yes, I can listen to a lecturer for like 4 hours. On average, I can say 3 hours. I can really concentrate for 3 hours without being distractive, grasping everything. But I feel like if you're a lecturer and you come to class and you want to always pour, you don't give the room for people to ask questions, interact with you, get to know more into what you're saying, then I feel like I have to take my phone, not really go into social media, but then do some background stuff which is maybe related to other courses. Maybe I have the next class in next 3 hours or 2 hours. I will just start revising that course and still be in the class. Yeah, because no matter what, there are slides there are other complementary resources. There is YouTube. That is the beauty of social media. Yeah, I'll be able to catch up and make your 100% for you in the exam.
Let me pass the mic over, and please help me respond to this question. In the days when you're doing your exams, during the exam period, are you still able to concentrate with all the social media tools that you have access to?
It's upon a person to say enough is enough. Enough is a decision. There's nothing like enough. Enough is just a decision. You decide, you say, what? I'm done. Right? In my own field, there's no way I can live without social media, because I'll be learning one thing upon the other. I'll see how he used the camera. I want to learn that. How he did that. I want to learn that. How he shot that. I want to learn that. So you'll see, on an average, she used 12 hours. I would consider that I use more than that. All the time you find me editing, learning. When I learn something new from the social media, before I do it, I'm not leaving my laptop. I'll watch that tutorial for more than 5 minutes. I'll watch it again and again and again and again until I master it on my laptop. I'll download a lot of apps to make sure that I finish up my assignments or to that what I need to do. So you ask me a question, do I concentrate during my examinations? So if it's a practical one, yes, I concentrate on social media, right? So if it's for reading, maybe reading, yes. One thing I do, this device in my hand, I leave it home. In my room, I go to the library, I switch off my Wi-Fi.
Discipline is so important. Do we have anyone else from the audience who would like to make a contribution? I would like to hear from the ladies as well.
I use a reward system so that I ensure that I concentrate on my coursework. So I'll study for a standard number of hours, and then I use social media after I'm done with my study session, so that I use it as a break for myself. So I'll make sure that I concentrate and grasp what I'm studying, so that in the end I get to use my phone, go through my socials and stuff, then come back to reading. So that system helps me to do my coursework, and at the same time I get to use social media for entertainment purposes.
Right, so you try to strike a balance. I'm going to take one more comment from the front over here.
Personally, I feel that USIU does a great job in the digital literacy education, because once in our orientation we go through how to use the various platforms across USIU and how they specifically tailor them so that students can be able to use them. And it has been so helpful, as also Professor said, because it's more of how are you using it for the right purpose at the right time, and it's more of so that you're engaging more with the right resources and the right content on social media and leveraging it towards your learning and your education as well. And something else that I also give credit to in terms of social media, in specifically to the Apple ecosystem, is that I am able to tailor my different types of do not disturb modes on the Apple ecosystem, such that I have a learning mode where it keeps me away from everything and I am specifically concentrated to my notes, to my learning resources. It has been quite helpful, as well as USIU, as one of the measures it uses during the examinations is, we believe that with time we need to move as well, and it's no longer time to write exams on paper anymore. So in USIU, we do have online exams, and which you can even do remotely via a Respondus browser. You can even do it from your home because you have a webcam, which is usually monitoring your audio and video, and as well as it's so locked that once you try to exit, it will submit your exam. So it is one of the control measures that USIU is using, that it's leveraging technology, but to a limit that it's also allowing for development as well as not going backtracked.
Love that. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Odor, I know that, in the outer space, outside of the learning institution that is USIU Africa, there's also the element of policy, because it's through the policy that it's able to cascade down to the learning institutions. Do you think that the policies that we currently have in place that support the education ecosystem are supportive enough to continue the positive impact of social media? Because remember, we come from a world where mobile phones are not accepted in certain learning institutions, and even where they are with so much red tape. How do we make sure that from your side, you have as much freedom to utilize these smart devices, but at the same time fall within the bigger umbrella of policies that support the same?
I think most institutions in higher education, especially in Kenya, have actually not developed social media policies for the university. And actually, within the basic education, secondary and primary, as you have said, it's even a crime having a phone in some schools. Is it? But at least with USIU, students are allowed to have their phone, is it? And you can have your phone and this. But I think there should be more policies that should be put in place, both nationwide, with the regulators like Commission for University Education, even the universities themselves, and to help promote the use of social media, because already you're using it, and you're using it positively. To encourage the students to use social media, to encourage the lecturers to use social media, to collaborate with each other and share information with the students also. So I think there's a serious need for policies, both national and institution-wide policies, to promote the use of social media.
Thank you for that. Karine, I want to hear from you going forward, because to all of us who are in the room today, one thing that's happening in the workspace, you see, once you leave USIU Africa and start looking for a job out there, and you're absorbed into a certain work environment, what's going to happen is that when you try to open a Facebook app, you'll be locked out. You try to open WhatsApp, you'll be locked out. If you try to open Instagram or whichever, you'll be locked out until after office hours. As learners in the room, Are you starting to prepare your minds for that, or should USIU start preparing you for that? Because I mean, you access the internet everywhere on the campus, right? Going forward, how are you preparing yourselves for the work environment with all the temptation coming from social media?
The policies for social media in USIU are perfectly fit with what is outside at the work field. So for the school, it's preparing for me, to be able to go to the field and be able to work those 8 hours without using social media. Though for me, I'm in tech field. Of course, those information to get social media, I take it as a way of consuming information. You are consuming information. To me, social media, that's what it means. So at the work field, I will spend, I hope I will spend more hours using social media just to share information and also consume those information.
Martin?
When you're disciplined, everything kind of works for you. No boss or maybe employer would like you to be in his office that he has paid a lot of money for, giving you resources, and he comes around to see that you're on WhatsApp and all this stuff. Well, time is running and he's paying you according to the time you're spending being productive in that office. So USIU is really helping with students when it comes to social media usage on a positive side. That's what I have to say. And then I think how I have positioned myself in the field of learning, I'll never be distracted when I go to the field, because taking myself as an example, data science and analytics, I'm being fed with a lot, like volumes of data to analyze for the company. Even it is going to go deep into my leisure times, when I go home outside office, I have to be still working, because I can't in that 8 hour span do everything when I have a large number of data to analyze, to create dashboard, to create models for company decision making. So social media I think I will even transition from social media to my work, because I'm not going to balance. I won't be able to be productive even for 20% of what I have to do when I have to combine social media with my work.
So on average, what would you recommend is the limit?
For me, my 8 hours is perfect, and it's because it depends on where you are, number one. I use GitHub a lot. I use LinkedIn a lot. So my 8 hours is not just on chit-chatting and all this stuff. It's really productive. And I must assure you, I have really gained a lot of experience and opportunities. I'll be going to India in December, and it's just through social media. Everything is catered for. I don't feel like I should limit my 8 hours on social media, but I should make sure in that span of 8 hours, I'm being productive. I'm gaining what I have to gain from that. I don't go, for social media to use me, I have to use it.
We're going to take, I see. How many more comments from the audience?
Social media is something that USIU Africa is teaching us as a psychology major, is that we are being told that you can never have a client and have your device. That's so disrespectful, and that doesn't create that conducive environment. So in as much as we are spending time on social media, strictly in psychology class, our professors will not allow you to too much be distracted with your phone, because they can tell that it will interfere with your work ethics if you leave. Because they say if you are addicted to your phone now in class, and that your professor is teaching you something about psychology and understanding human behavior, and you can't discipline yourself first, then it's going to be a problem. So USIU Africa, even if I have to speak for the psychology department, actually trains us to make sure that as an individual, you're disciplined enough to put your phone away and concentrate. And we are being trained. For me, I want to be a child psychologist, and I want to reduce screen time for children. It must start with me. That if I'm supposed to be with children for 8 hours, which last week we're in Maple Bay, a Canadian school in Kenya, for that hours you're with those children, they must not see you on your phone. So that's a face-to-face communication. So those practical experience that is given to us by USIU Africa and our volunteer that we do trains us actually not to rely too much on social media.
So there is some sort of training that's started already, or is already ongoing.
For me, I want to speak on the policies that you asked about. And arguing from an international relations perspective, unfortunately, the law is reactive. It's not predictive in nature. So for us to have policies that are guarding the use of social media would have to transition from the natural the nature of the law itself, which is that it is reactive. So now, if I was to become a policymaker and talk about the kind of policies that we want for the use of social media, I have two answers, which is that we need protective and productive policies. Protective in a sense that there was a Harvard study that was done that our neural pathways as human beings are not able to adapt as quickly as the information overload that we have from social media, and that is harming us. So if we could have more protective policies which are informed by neuroscience, that would actually help us to gauge the use of social media. And by productive, I'm going to echo what Martin said, that it's important to understand what you're using social media for. So maybe if the law could step in, allowing institutions of higher learning to gauge the amount of time that learners actually spend on social media by actually blocking some of these apps when you're on campus, or even ensuring that they monitor any harmful activity. To digress a bit, ChatGPT, when you use it, there are some topics that it does not allow you to ask it, and that is because of the policies which are in place, AI policies. So if the same thing could be mimicked with social media, that when you're on campus, you're not going to be selling drugs to people, it's these grassroots things that actually can tell us how well we are doing with these policies.
And so we can conclusively say that the impact of social media is more on the positive side. And so what needs to happen is just the discipline and the regulation for it to work better. Where we're talking about the younger generation, those who are still in elementary school, I think that's where Jennifer's expertise needs to come in. There has to be a parental guidance rule on that front. To just take care of the regulation, the screen time, to make sure that the learners there are using social media for what it's intended for. I'm going to give the last word to Dr. Collins Odor. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this topic is very, very informative for both the faculty and the students. And actually, as the faculty, we are now really on ways to use this social media and promote the usage of social media education. Technology, I'm from the ICT side, School of Science, and now technology is evolving. Now you talk about social media. Already there's now conversation on AI also. ChatGPT, student using and lecturers using ChatGPT, which is now also on the table, on the now, and of the policies to be developed. But one thing as I emphasize as a lecturer, this was my parting shot, I really emphasize on soft skills. I really try to stress this to my students. Doing things without being reminded, be self-disciplined, be productive if you're given an assignment. All this will override the negative part of the usage of social media. So that's what my parting shot, that I keep on encouraging my students to improve on their soft skills. So with soft skills, they're able to conquer any negative sides associated with social media in education.
Absolutely. And I think I have nothing much to add in addition to that. But one thing is for sure, that these learners have demonstrated to us that the impact of social media is more on the positive side than we are seeing on the negative side. Thank you all for joining us in this edition of EdTech Mondays Africa. My name is Joy Doreen Bira, and until the next edition, thank you all for watching, and thank you to the United States International University of Africa for having us here, and to all the students who contributed to this great conversation. Thank you all, and we hope to see you sometime soon. Bye-bye for now.
EdTech Mondays Africa is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning and is part of the MasterCard Foundation Young Africa Works programming.